Saturday, December 23rd. And in a rare Saturday appearance, we got to cover the United Nations. Why? Because the budget didn't get done yesterday. It was supposed to get done on Friday, December 22nd. We'd covered it the night before, past 1 a.m. But as it turned out, it didn't get done. And so we were told. We were told by the chairman of the Budget Committee, Tomo Monte, that it would begin Saturday at noon. Then they put on their website, tentative time 1 p.m. First they have to vote in the Fifth Committee, in Conference Room 3, and then they go to the GA Hall and vote the whole thing through, billions of dollars. So we're going in. It still hasn't apparently begun. The webcast says meeting closed. They cannot vote for billions of dollars in a closed meeting. Now, we told the Department of Public Information yesterday, we're covering this. We have a right to cover this. So we'll see. We'll see. First stop, getting into the building. Didn't used to be a problem. For Akbar al-Yam, the Egyptian state dictator, no-show retiree media, they could walk in right now. We're going to go in through the tourist entrance. There's a $166 million cut. There's also some pushback on Antonio Guterres' supposed reforms. Now, you'd think if you were such a reformer that you'd actually want to be there fighting for your reforms, right? Wouldn't you think? No, Tony's on vacation until January 3rd. If somehow they don't pass, it must be somebody else's fault. We're going in. On our way in, we spoke with a diplomat that we know who was coming out, and he said that he's heard that the General Assembly portion of this might not begin until 8 p.m. So there's been a delay. There's been a delay. There's a problem, and the head man, Tony Guterres, is nowhere to be seen. Well, he is to be seen. If you're in Lisbon, you'll... This is the negotiators' broad agreement, given exclusively to Intercity Press by a source. Get ready, folks. Read it and weep. This is what they're agreeing to. We got a strange color here. Are you ready? Human rights. Section 24, human rights, decides to reduce the resources for contractual services by 10%. Also decides to reduce the resources for furniture, equipment, consultants, supplies, and materials, and hospitality by 10%. Further decides to reduce the resources for general operating expenditures and other staff costs by 5%. Decides to reduce the non-post resources for information technology by 10%. Sorry, human rights. Further decides to reduce the travel of representatives by 25%. Also decides to reduce the resources for experts by 15%. And now, nobody knows. Could be 11:30. We've been covering the budget down in the Vienna Cafe area. We're going to go to a photo booth. Now, one of the constraints, we would have covered it more aggressively, but people getting some good Z's down here, catching some serious Z's in the Qatari lounge. We would have covered it more closely, but under our current restricted status, we're supposed to have a minder, but there's no minders here. They didn't come in. Department of Public Information has left us covering it, having to deal in the darkness. So we'll shoot it from up here. This is where we're going to shoot the meeting from. 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday. $166 million in budget cuts. Where is the Secretary General? Nobody knows. Well, we do know, actually. He's in Lisbon, chilling. His vacation is more important than either of the diplomats. I'm not crying for the diplomats. There's no accountability in the United Nations. Intercity Press reports in detail on UN spending and corruption, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For its troubles, evicted from its office, told it was banned from the UN worldwide. Seriously, for covering a meeting of the UN Correspondents Association, banned from the UN worldwide. Then allowed back in on a restricted pass that remains in place to this day with no change, even as office reassigned to a no-show Egyptian state media, Akbar al-Yam. Big Tony Guterres, no change at all. He seems to like it. He doesn't really want press coverage. Didn't have an end-of-the-year press conference. Now we can report. It's done. Everything has been cooked. That's what the chair of the Budget Committee said. All this cooked. There is the President of the General Assembly, Miroslav Lajčák. I think he'd counted on chairing the General Assembly. That's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. because There's the chief of staff of the PGA, former permanent representative of Slovakia. We'll tell you who the players are here. Lajczak, this is impressive. He's actually still the foreign minister of Slovakia, but he says he's put somebody else in charge and he visits. I think he's going to do it. There it is. And we're off. $166 million in cuts. Let's see what his opening statement is. Hopefully the audio will work.
The General Assembly will take up the pending items listed in today's journal, including the reports of the Fifth Committee on Sunday, 24 December 2017 at 10 a.m. in the General Assembly Hall.
Now they have trouble. This is the problem with the midnight budget meeting. They're missing some of the documents. Ils n'ont pas les documents sous les yeux. Distributing these documents? Yes. Yep, we have an upper deck distributor. Get your hot dogs here, hot dogs, cold soda, popcorn. Now some action. 1 a.m. at the UN on the budget. Syria is breathing fire. The problem is in this media booth there's no translation. Um, 2:30 a.m. They said it's reform, but really I'm not sure. There are a number of corruption cases pending, but we were here. And now we're going to go hasta mañana in the corrupt UN.